All
All
right.
so hello everybody. I am here today with Kristen M. Long, who is the author of Thief of Sorrows and the upcoming Champion of Sorrows. So she's going to just take some time to spend with us today and just answer some questions and talk a little bit more about our books. So welcome, Kristen.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. So let's just get right into it. So talk to me a little bit about what kind of made you want to get into publishing and being an author, and what kind of was your path to publication?
So I've always really loved writing, and I actually started writing Thief of Sorrows when I was, I think, 18 years old. And originally it was only going to be 3 books. And at the time, I knew that the story was too big for me also. So I had the idea, and I also didn't have the heart for the story. So went to college and then went to nursing school. And with nursing school, you don't have time for anything at all. So it's just straight studying and all that good stuff. Um, and so it wasn't until about 3 months after I started working in the ER that I found the heart for it. And it was a patient of mine who was murdered. It was a 6-month-old, and so I knew for a long time that like I had to do something to help my mental health with that, because it really affected me. And
Mhm.
so I was home um, from my travel assignments during COVID. So I dealt with this for quite a long time. And when I got home, I was like, I really need to do something, because like reading's not helping. I need something else. And I saw my manuscript, and at the time, this book was called Rising Fawn. And so started looking through it and started thinking more about it. And so the heart for the story is Camden. And so I knew that I wanted him to be remembered by several people. And so through writing, he now will be. And with publishing, I would love to do trad at some point. However, I know that if I was ever to do trad, it would have to be a situation where they would agree to do all this, the whole series. And it's a big series. It's like 8 books right now.
Awesome.
Um, yeah. And so, yeah, I wanted, I knew that with self-publishing, it would for sure all be done. And it would be done the way that I wanted to be. Like I knew I wanted Alice Powers to do the cover, which I love her cover. She did such a beautiful job with it. Um, and I could write the story the way I wanted to. So I love the control that self-publishing brings. And you meet so many cool people through self-publishing. Like I've made so many amazing friends, got to meet like yourself, wonderful readers who are just the absolute best. So yeah. Sorry, that was a lot of talking.
No, that's really awesome. I think that, that's a beautiful way for this to kind of come about, and like you said, kind of like have that live on. I think that's really beautiful. Um, can you tell us a little bit about your writing process? So, do you write out of order? Do you quilt? Do you outline? How does that look?
So I'm kind of a hybrid when it comes to writing. Um, I I'm a plotter and a pantser. So I there are certain things in every book that I know that I have to hit, like certain points. Um, but for the most part, like I could just kind of let the writing take me where it's supposed to. As long as I end up from A to B, I like to kind of find the story as it goes along. Like there are certain little snippets of conversation that I'll just be running through my head driving home from work, or just laying in bed trying to go to sleep, and I'm like, that would be a really cool conversation. I try to find somewhere within the book to put that, because for the most part there are certain conversations that I haven't put in the book because it doesn't really relate. It's just a cute like little side thing. But yeah, for the most part I try to find somewhere to put those conversations. And I don't know, I just kinda let the story take me where it wants to, as long as I end up at that certain point. Like I for the most part know the big points that have to hit from A to B. There are a few things that I still need to kind of figure out for book 3. I know the direction that it's going. There's certain characters and certain pieces that I just have to kind of mull over a little bit more. So yeah, I'm kind of just like a go with the flow kind of writer to a certain extent.
Hmm. Awesome. Awesome. Um, so tell us a little bit about what you enjoy most about writing in this genre that you write in.
It's an escape.
Hmm.
It allows me to not think about reality for at least a brief period of time, and allows me to flex my creative muscles and just like explore different things. Like there's certain magical elements, which I hinted at in book one with the
Mm.
shadows that came from another realm, with a tapestry that Farad'n and Isolde look at Briarhole. So getting to explore that a lot more has been fun. The different kind of like facets of their magic. Like initially, I I knew I wanted to do a little bit of more to their magic systems going into book two. Like you learn that like Liam, he can't, well, so there are certain things that earth builders can do and certain things that they can't do, like that they're limited in their own power. So getting to explore that and seeing them overcome that, much like certain things like within our own life, like I'll really try to parallel their magic to certain things in real life, like having to
Mhm.
overcome or deal with. So yeah, so just yeah, just like exploring different facets within my own world, if that makes sense.
No, it does. It does. And I think that the whole like escape, that's why I read fantasy, because that's what I want to do. I want to kind of, get away from real life for a little while. I mean, I do read contemporary sometimes, but fantasy is just my favorite. Um,
Hmm.
so what do you need in your writing space to help you stay focused on the task at hand?
Quiet.
Quiet.
Quiet. Yes, I normally write at night because house is quiet. It's I don't know, I write better in the dark, if that makes sense. Like I have a candle going. I have to have either coffee, tea, or water or wine, something to drink at all times. Like during the day, if I'm writing at like noon, I love to have either peppermint tea or orange cinnamon tea.
Hmm.
And then throughout the evening, like I'll have a glass of wine, and that normally helps with the flow a lot. Yeah, like a candle. Like right now, I have winter pine. One of my cousins got that for me for Christmas, so I've been smelling that while I write, plotting out book three. And sometimes I listen to music. I have a very specific playlist for every book that I've created, and it kind of it grows with every installment. So yeah, and just something comfortable to chill in. And I prefer to sit by a window, even though it's dark. I don't know why I like to sit by the window.
Awesome. Awesome. And what's your kryptonite as a writer? What kind of gets in your way?
Imposter syndrome.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Very, very much so. Which is something I really had to deal with big time with book two. It was much harder to write two than it was one, just because there was now an expectation, and I gave myself a very small timeline for two, while also traveling and trying to work full time as a nurse. So, yeah, I would say imposter syndrome and just self doubt
Mm-hmm.
for the most part. And also when I don't read a lot, that affects me. That's something that I've learned the hard way with two. Like I really kind of put reading on the back burner, and that's something I won't do with three. The more I read, the more the creativity. That's a good creative outlet as well, good input and a good output. So, um, yeah, the less I read, the more difficult it is for me to write.
Good. Interesting. And I think and I hope, that, doing interviews like this and, going to events and, having your readers reach out like helps you with that imposter syndrome because I've been talking to so many people about this book and especially I just have Champion right now. Um,
Oh, I love it.
but yeah, I know. Like look how many tabs are in this. Like
Oh, I love that so much.
but I just loved I mean, I love fairy tales and things like that. And so it was just such like a unique take on that. And like you said, like you created your own worlds that just made it completely unique and separate. But I've been talking to like one of my friends like in real life about I'm like, I think you would love this. So like I'm gonna get book one and then you can have that and then you can borrow this, once it comes out because I definitely think that a lot of people can like relate to the main character. And I think that's probably one of my favorite parts about it.
Oh, good. That makes my heart so happy. I'm
Good.
so glad that you like it. And yes, it when readers reach out or that they leave a comment or something, I'm like it really really touches my heart every single time. I read every single comment. And I try to respond to every single thing that's posted. So it really does mean a lot to me.
Awesome. Awesome. So now we're going to move into talking about the book itself. We'll stick
Okay.
to just, so we don't have any spoilers for book two. So if you had to describe Thief of Sorrows in one sentence, what would that sentence be?
I would say it is a gender bent Robin Hood retelling, but with a very morally gray female lead who not only steals from the rich and the corrupt, she kills them too.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I love
Thank
that.
you.
That's very concise. Like you have that like ready to go.
That is the pitch that, like, if someone asked me, like, what my book's about, like, that
Yep.
is the pitch that I give, and that was honestly the hardest thing to write for the book is
Hmm.
the pitch, 'cause it's like you're trying to shove all the the flavors of the rainbow into one Skittle. Like,
Yeah.
you're trying to get it all in there. It's very, very hard to do. So,
Yeah. And obviously it's an elevator pitch, it's a hook. Like you want people to want to read it after, you have that. So
exactly.
and I'm just curious, like I love like obviously like this is the unfinished copy, this is an advanced reader's copy, but like this quote on the front, what made
Mm.
you pick this?
A patient actually inspired that.
Mm.
Yeah, and it was not a happy story, but, it was yeah, it was just a very, very sad situation that, they're not suffering anymore. So, yeah, and you know what happens, especially in chapter 31.
Mm.
Um, that was definitely it was a horrible, horrible situation, but also a mercy at the same time. So yeah, so it was a patient that had, inspired that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Awesome. And so the next question is really hard, has been really hard for a lot of people. Who is your favorite
okay.
character to write, and why was that person your favorite?
Uh, so it's kind of it's a dead tie between 2 of them. I love to write as old because she can say things that I can't, and she can do things that I can't. She's my outlet. Malachi is the person that I want to be. He's
Mm,
always so patient and kind and understanding, very forgiving. So yes, it's those 2. I really love writing the conversations between them.
mm. And what was the most challenging part about writing Thief of Sorrows?
Uh, I would say, um, let me see here. I think writing ooh, okay. Plotting out the confrontation with, Yvain, that was challenging because I wanted to convey so many different things in that scene, and then the scene where she's training by herself with and then Liam shows up when
Mm-hmm.
she's going through her mental stuff, because that is actually a very real thing that I deal with sometimes. And so I wasn't really sure if I should put that in the book or not. But I was like, no, this is how she feels. This is the truth to that character. So putting that down was very difficult because it was almost like a confession as well.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I would say that those 2 scenes were very, very hard to write.
Okay. Um, what's your favorite line from the book? I think I can probably guess because you put the quote on a lot of different things.
It's the I do not bow to fear, it bows to me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I love that
that
one.
one.
I
Thank
had that
you.
sticker on my Kindle.
Oh, awesome.
I love that. I
Thank
think
you.
I love that one.
Thank you.
Um, okay. And so a lot of people when they're writing, like, I mean, obviously, like you have your cover, so you have like what you would envision your character to look like. Um,
Mhm.
but as far as like if you were going to have your book turned into a adaptation, who would play your main characters?
So I would want Florence Poe to play Isolde. I love her.
Hmm.
Um, Killian, I would say ooh, I haven't really thought about Killian, honestly. Um, there's a guy on TikTok, and I actually have like I have separate boards that are private, and so whenever I see a video that reminds me of a character, I always put it in there. And he's got like just those jet black eyes, that beautiful hair. He's really funny. Um, I don't know about who to play him. I'm not sure about him, but Malachi, Jason Momoa, I
Mm,
think is who I'd put as Malachi, but he would have to play it seriously. and not his like joking self. I mean, he could be joking, but more serious. And then Bly. Um, oh man, I haven't really thought about who I'd want to play Bly. Um, I don't know. I don't know about her, but Gage. He played Ajax in Deadpool, and he was also in
Yeah.
Game of Thrones with he was the first of the second sons. He's the one that killed the other two
Hmm.
and pledged himself to Daenerys. That's exactly who I picture for Gage, but with the long hair, not the short, and as he is in Deadpool. Um, yeah, and then I have ideas. So Erebus, which you meet in two, that is Lee Pace, and he when he
Hmm.
played Thranduil, which is Legolas's
Yeah.
dad in the Hobbits. That's who I see as Erebus.
Awesome. Awesome. I
Hmm.
think Florence would be so good. Like because I just think of her from the the Black Widow. I think that
Hmm.
kind of like embodies like who that character is.
Yeah, she's got the right amount of snarkiness,
Yeah.
but she's very compassionate at the same time. She can play both, and she's not like super tiny, which Isolde's not super tiny either. She's athletic, but she's got her curves. She's about 5'8". Like she's she loves to eat her cinnamon rolls, as you see in book two. Girl loves to eat. She's not gonna miss a meal if she can help it. So,
Awesome. Awesome. Um, so now we'll move on to just like some general like fun questions. So what do you like to
okay.
do when you're not writing? I know that you're a nurse and I know that probably takes up a lot of your time, but is there
Mhm.
anything else that you enjoy?
Reading. I do read a lot. I like to run. Um, I love to tan. Oh my gosh, I love going out to the pool and just laying out like and just listening to music or reading. And then I do like a lot of arts and crafts things. And I recently just started a project for the NICU that's in town,
Hmm.
and I crochet uh, baby like
Oh,
hats for for
yeah.
um
Yeah.
for for new babies that are in the NICU. So yeah.
That's awesome. Very cool. Um, and my favorite question is what are some books or authors that you would recommend? I've gotten some amazing recommendations that I've read by everybody, so I'm excited to hear what you have.
Um, but let's see. Sarah, excuse me. Sarah J. Maas is my absolute favorite author. Love her. Um,
Have you gotten to read the new book yet?
yes. Oh,
Okay.
dude, I finished it on Tuesday morning. Like we got it at midnight. We stayed up till 6, listened to it, went to bed for 5 hours, got back up, and then finished it the next morning.
I love
Yes,
that.
I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
I'm like
Um,
25% through yet, so I didn't.
there's so
I'm
much
I'm
time.
reading it as a with my book club that I started for this channel Literarily Indie. So that was like the
Nice.
first book that we chose. I know she's not indie, but then after that, every choice is going to be an indie book. But I wanted to start with this one because I knew a lot of people would like it, and I
Yeah,
wanted to talk about it with people. But
I got you. Yeah, there's so much stuff that happens in that book.
I
It's
know,
just like I can't believe she put that much in there.
I
It's
know.
just so good. Um, I would highly recommend Jordan A. Day. She's the author of
Yeah,
Ripple of Power and Promise.
she's on my
Um,
list.
yeah, she's fantastic. I love Jordan. Luna Laurier. If you want your heart ripped out, read her books.
Yep, read
Like
those
all the
two.
way out, all the way out, rip them out. I'm trying to see in my bookshelf. I love the Shatter Me series.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love them. I personally really enjoyed Laura Thalas's Bargainer series.
Hmm.
Loved that so much.
I've read those.
Okay. Zodiac Academy, Ruthless Boys by the
Those are
Twisted
on my
Sisters.
list. So,
Okay.
okay.
Well, there's a certain reading order you have to read those in. It's very
Okay.
important. So I'll shoot them to you.
Yeah.
Read them in. And then I'm trying to look at what else have I read?
We like
Uh,
so many of the same books. That's amazing.
oh, Daughter of No Worlds. Oh my gosh, by Carissa Broadbent.
Hmm.
I love Throne of Glass. Like that's my favorite series of all times. Like Carissa Broadbent is maybe like a hair below that. Like I sobbed in that trilogy.
Mm,
Phenomenal books. Oh my gosh. I haven't read I've read Serpent and the Wings of Night. I've not read the novella or The Ashes yet. It's on my list, but really, really enjoyed those books.
I read those first, so I'm gonna go back and read Daughter of No Worlds. Definitely for
Prepare,
me.
prepare to
Um,
cry. I sobbed.
did you read them via audio or did you read them or both?
I did Daughter of No Worlds by audio, and I would highly, highly recommend
Okay.
everyone do that because there are certain characters are learning a new language, so you hear their struggle. Like it's English, but you hear their struggle of pronouncing certain things, and the names are kind of hard to pronounce. Like I would not have said them right in my head had I not listened to it, and it's more emotional. So, and then
I have a
I
couple Audible credits, so that's why I ask.
would highly, highly recommend you listen to those.
Awesome.
And then I half listened and half read Serpent.
Awesome. Awesome. Um, so something that I really, value is getting, advice for authors who are starting out or authors that I'm trying to write a book. Like you, I had an idea in college and it just didn't work out. It wasn't the time, it wasn't right. But then, after I started talking with authors like yourself and just getting like into the everything you said about the indie publishing is why I want to go indie and not trad.
Mhm.
And there's actually this new publishing company that I saw on Instagram and they're women owned and so I
Mm.
thought that was really cool. But anyway, long story short, I would love some advice for myself as well as other aspiring writers about what you wish you knew before you started writing or about the process that maybe we don't know.
I would say things that I didn't know. So it's obviously been like a journey from beginning to end, but the most important things that I've learned is you have to let other people read your book, especially people that don't know you, that will be very brutally honest with you about your writing, but also honest in a way that's constructive and not demeaning. That's very, very hard to find. So just playing around, especially with I think they're called beta readers.
Yep.
Beta readers are super, super important. Try and find people that aren't your friends to do that. I know that a lot of times, and I think that there's forums for this where you'll do chapter swaps. So like you'll swap first three chapters, whatever, back and forth. Um, I would say really, really important to find that. And your first draft is going to be trash. It's going to be terrible. And that's okay. The story's down. And so now you have a building block to work on. And you can change it. You'd never ever have to show anybody else that draft. That's just for you. No one has ever read a first draft of Thief or a Champion, and they never will. So, because it's horrible. But don't let that discourage you. But also at the same time know when to. This is something that I actually had to talk to my editor about. I'm like, which is Katie Wolf, which if you ever need an editor, could not recommend Katie more. I asked her, I was like, I don't know when to stop. Like, how do I know when it's done? And she said, well, it never will be. You just
Hmm.
need to get to a point to where when you're starting to change words, like very like minuscule words that don't really mean anything, that's when you're done. And as long as you're comfortable with the plot, you're good with that, then you are finished. So knowing when to stop is important too. And just write it. It's never going to get written if you don't start writing.
Mm.
So, and just have fun with it. I mean, the whole reason that you're doing this is to have fun. So never lose that joy, and don't let anybody else talk you into writing something that you don't want to write. If it's not part of your story, don't put it in there.
That's a lot of good advice. That's a lot of good
Thank you.
advice. And I know you mentioned beta readers and things like that. Like at what point, like in chapter swapping, like at what point do you start doing that? Like, I mean, for example, like I wrote the prologue in chapter 1. Like that's all I have, but like I don't know if I'm going in the right direction, for example. So like is that something you suggest something like I would start that now, like looking for chapter swapping, or should I just get it all out and then worry about that?
I would say after you've done a few drafts of the book and you have like the plot down, like you want your plot down, and then you can always go back and change it if you want to, but have the base story down, do a little bit of editing so that it's readable. Um, and that you are comfortable with the plot or what you think the plot is at that point. So I would almost have it like completely done. That
Mm.
way you can just keep swapping back and forth and then taking notes and rearranging things if you need to.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Um, and so you said that you like quiet when you write.
Mhm.
But are there any specific, like, do you have a playlist for the books or any specific songs that make you think of the books?
Yes. So I have a playlist on Spotify for all the books, 1 through 8. Um, and there are certain, I think I changed. I know Thief has the cover on it. Champion has the name, but not the cover just yet. Um, but the song Rock Show by Hailstorm encompasses the entire series. Like
Mm,
that really is like if I could pick one song for the whole series, that'd be it. Um, and certain Star Wars songs, Duel of Fates, that's a big one for a lot of the fight scenes. I will have one for Anakin versus Obi-Wan, which will have a lot of meaning with it to come later on in the series. I'm actually really excited, but also really sad to write that part. That's going to be gut wrenching. Um, so yeah, so like a lot of scores like that. Lord of the Rings, a lot of Hans Zimmer, um, Oppenheimer, uh, Aladdin's playlist will come into play with book 3. Um, Frozen, Into the Unknown, Lion King, like a lot of stuff like that. So, and it's really very much a mood thing as
hmm
well. So, um, and even since some newer songs like Chapter 54 and uh, So You Wouldn't Break or So You Didn't Break, I think is what it's called by Kelsey Wood. She wrote it for Akatar, and it's the most accurate thing I've ever heard in my life. Like that is those situations to a T. It's beautiful, beautiful work. So yeah, it's very, very much a mood thing. So
Awesome. Awesome. Some good music.
mhm.
Um, have you ever traveled anywhere? Is research for either of these books, or is there any place that inspired when you were thinking of creating this world?
So for Eleonarda, the capital, that was very much heavily inspired by Couture in Montenegro, along with the Dolomites in Italy. It's a mountain range that's there. It's like crystal clear, beautiful water with huge mountains up the side, like everywhere. And then Thornwood is actually very loosely inspired by my home here in Tennessee, like with the hills and the mountains and things like that, and the woods. Um, the Endemore is desert-esque. Um, and then some stuff you see in 4 is very oceanic.
Mm,
So there are certain places, like certain towns that I've been to. I'm like, oh, this would look really, really cool. So, but yeah, mainly uh, Italy, very, very much so for the capital is where what I see.
awesome. I'd love to go to Italy. I haven't been there yet. I've been to Europe, but not Italy yet, but that's on my list. I
That's
love
still my
France. France is my favorite.
oh, I love
Um,
France.
it's perfect. And actually, was it the last author? I think it may have been the last author that I interviewed. She said that Mont Saint Michel inspired like part of hers, and I loved Mont Saint Michel when I went. It was just absolutely amazing. It's so unique and so different. So,
Nice.
I love Europe is just so much. It's good, so much history. I love it.
It's magical.
All right. So the final question, and probably one of the most important, do you have any upcoming events or signings going on, either for Champion or for the rest of the year?
I've got quite a bit this year. I will be in Shreveport, Alabama. Oh, Alabama, Shreveport, Louisiana,
Louisiana.
for Maven Masquerade, or it's a lore makers. It's their Sealy soiree.
Cool.
That's at the beginning of April, and then I won't be signing at a Polycon, but I'll be and hanging out and goofing off. And then I've got Aluxia events May 18th in Orlando, the Valar Starfall Ball in Colorado, Larkspur on May 25th, which is my birthday, and I'm so excited.
Oh,
Um,
I'm also
and then a
maybe.
night in Harrison. Do what?
I'm also a May baby.
Oh, are you going? Oh, you're a May baby. Okay,
I'm a
cool.
May baby. Yep, I'm gonna be 30. I'm old.
Girl, I'm older than you are. You're not a. Don't say you're old. And then I have a night in Terracin in Baltimore in September. November is, or no, wait, October is the Romantasy Book Con in Orlando. Then 2 weekends after that is Books, Gowns, and Crowns in Seattle, Washington. And then November is Books and Chaos in South Carolina. And then Winter Solstice, which is the same company that's doing the Valar Starfall in North Carolina in December.
Wow.
So I've
You're
got a lot
doing
going
so
on this year.
much.
Yeah.
Doing a lot. I've heard of a Polycon, but I haven't been. But hopefully I'm getting my ticket this week. I am planning to go to Romantasy BookCon.
Yay.
I told my husband, I was like, no, I can't do another trip. I can't, we're trying to get pregnant, and I'm just like, no, like, and then I found that, and I literally know every single author on the list, and I decided that I'm doing it like for my for my present, but before I can't travel anymore for a while.
Right.
So I'm very excited for that. So hopefully, we'll get to meet in person there.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, there's so many good authors that are going to be
Mhm.
there.
Yeah.
So I think the day tickets are sold out, but they still do have the other two levels, so those are still available. Um,
Nice.
so yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
It's going to be a pretty big event. Like I think it's like 3 days or something like that, right?
yeah, and it's on Disney property, which is actually awesome.
I
Um,
didn't know. See,
yeah,
I don't even, you know way more about it.
I love Disney. That I'm kind of a
I
Disney freak, obviously.
same, same. I love
My
Disney.
dogs are named Elsa and Anna. Like, I love Disney.
That's fantastic.
um but yeah, so it's on Disney property. So like they have like the buses that can transport you to like the parks, all of the resorts and stuff like that. So I've only stayed on property once when I was a kid, and I think it was All Star Movies. But I haven't stayed on property since then, so this is kind of my excuse to like stay on property again.
Do it.
Yeah.
Absolutely do it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Kristen, for taking the time. I'm so excited for everybody to, get Champion in their hands soon. It comes out on the 27th, if I'm correct.
It should be
I mean,
coming out the 27th. My formatter and we've had like an issue with scheduling, so it's going to come very tight. If it's the publication date will be the 27th. Whether you can buy it on the 27th will be something different.
right.
But I am doing signed pre-orders for it. The links in
Oh,
my
awesome.
bio on Instagram and on TikTok. And I'm also having Thief on sale for that as well. So yes, if you want your signed copy, just go to my Instagram or my TikTok.
Awesome. Well, I'll definitely be heading over there and getting that.
Great.
But I really, really appreciate you taking the time to talk with me today. And we will talk again soon, I hope.
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you so much for having me.
Great. You're so welcome. Bye, Kristen.
Bye.